All
Thank
right. Hey,
you.
thanks, guys. What a thrill it is to be across the internet from you, Matthew and Byrne.
Thank you.
I don't have a lot of time, so let me just jump right in. You fellows are absolutely stealing this program from everybody else. I want to start with Matthew. What steps did you take to embody or develop your impression of Robert Evans?
There was one of it's going to sound slightly crass, but YouTube is a wonderful tool these days, and you're able to mine an awful lot of stuff. There was quite a lot on there, but there was one particular, and obviously we all know that that there was the kid that the kid stays in the picture. But so I watched that years ago, so I knew a lot of his history. But there was one particular interview that he gave in the 1970s that I must have watched about 600 times, just to try and pick up on the timbre and he had a very strange, evocative cadence to him. So it was a lot of homework, and then they put the specs on and gave me a spray tan, and off I went.
Would you say that there's any comparison or any similarities between another megalomaniac that you played, Adrian Veidt?
No.
No.
No. I mean, I think actually, in many ways, Bob was just so much more fun to play. I felt like I was very unrestricted playing Bob, whereas I felt much more restricted playing Adrian because it was Watchmen.
Mm-hmm. Byrne, I really enjoyed your performance, the subtleties, the pendulous performance. I was just watching earlier today where you were negotiating the price of Paramount, and the guy said he didn't like caviar, and you're just subtle response to that. I'd like to know, aside from the script and the book, what research did you do to get into the mind of Charles Bludhorn?
Yeah, there's not so much on YouTube, but there was definitely a lot written about Charlie. There was an amazing profile piece in the New Yorker that called him, the mad Austrian of Wall Street. This was a risk taker, a chance taker who happened to also love movies and was intoxicated by Robert, his glamour, the women that were around him, to put
no, you're allowed to say that.
But this is a guy who was an immigrant to America, came with nothing, and became the epitome of the American dream. Somebody who I've really enjoyed digging away. And you also hear in the 70s anyway, you hear the movie stars and producers talk about Charlie. They're usually doing an impression of him, or
yes.
He was one of those guys that did make a big impression. So I hope I've honored that in some way.
Sure, you sure did with me. What can you tell me about I'm interested in how they captured the mood and the era of the 70s. Were you using actual clothes from then, or were these bespoke made for the show?
Well, no, there were some pieces, bits and bobs, but an awful lot of it was sourced from the era. And there's an awful lot of polyester, my friend. There was some itching and some sweating going on. But I think, do you know what? If pound for pound, the person who pulled it off the best, I think, was Madame Juno Temple.
Yeah.
Who I think should actually just live in those clothes anyway.
Yeah.
She looks amazing in them.
She loves her.
And she kept a few
anyway.
pieces.
Yeah,
did she?
Yeah.
There's so much out there about Robert Evans. Did you discover anything in your research that might not have made it into the show that you found interesting?
So many people came up to me over the 7 months, and they said, "I really hope you're not going to play him in a bad light, because he came and bought some jewels in a back room at some store." And I'm like, "Oh, fingers crossed, please be a good anecdote." And they all said the same thing. Like, he treated me like he treated his gardener, like he was a good man. And actually, a lot of the trouble that he got into later on in life was not because he had some demons, but it was oftentimes because he was very generous rather than being a bad person. So I fell in love with him completely, and I'm very honored to have been given the opportunity.
Right on. That looks like it's my time. I want to say thanks. I love the show. I love you guys in it. And do me a favor, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you fellas on the other side, okay?
Go Bat Hat.
Right on. Thanks.